the, this is a hall of memories. It's not going to be there tomorrow. And what you have to do is to freeze the memory. So how you freeze the memory is a question. You have to see Do Rafique. If you look at the Bombay history, it is 360 years old. In that, so many things have happened. And they have changed, and nobody has a memory of that because it was not recorded. A movie like Do Rafique has done that. Anybody and everybody wants to destroy the city. He destroys the architect of the city because then you don't have a memory. To have a memory, you should have those places. Because next day, if you come here next day, you will not recognize this place. You will not know what it is. So you have to freeze your memories. And I think I'll ask Rafique to do.
Yeah. Rafique, I'm going to ask you to go back a little bit into memory lane, into some of the stories that we talked about when we did the film. Especially, Rafique and I, we used to go to the same joints in the red light district in Bombay. And I'll have him tell you more about that in a few minutes. But first of all, thank you, guys. I thought you were making, those big padlocks and safe deposit vaults and all that. So it's really great to open up this place and, let us share the treasures of this space at Godrej. Thank you very much. I don't know about you guys, what you had for breakfast, but I had a brilliant breakfast. It was burun maska, and I had some mutton patties and mawa cake. And with Rafique Bagdadi this morning on my way here at an Irani restaurant in Baikala called Baikala Restaurant. It's opposite Palace Cinema. I think I had an outstanding breakfast. And this is like something whenever we meet, we try to do that. That's something that goes back to our own childhood, and then we share a cup of tea together. But when I drove from my house to Palace Cinema, I was watching Irani restaurants, just falling by the wayside. I reached Tardev, and there used to be an Irani restaurant called Cafe Tardev, and that's become a Domino's. I reached Baikala Bridge, and there used to be an Irani restaurant called Cafe Service, which has also become a Domino's. I mean, Domino's is the dominant, seems to be the dominant takeover artist of the Irani restaurants at the moment. Till we reached Baikala restaurant, thankfully it is still there, and we had this. Now, I don't know what it is, whether this is a loss that any of you people share, that I feel when I travel through the city and then I see a Domino's taking over an Irani restaurant. Again, when I drove from Baikala to here, I'm always a little bit, you guys can hear me all right? Is the sound okay? Yeah? Driving from Baikala to Vikhroli, I'm always a little bit grumpy, and I provide lots of extra time and buffers and all that. But I found we reached in 30 minutes flat, thanks to these flyovers. But I also remembered another time when I have walked under those flyovers, but the flyovers were not there. And that's where the real city is. Now, we bypassed the city almost entirely getting there. But again, if I have to commute every day from Baikala to Vikhroli, do I want to go back to those days and trudge through those traffic lights or not is another question. But certainly, I feel a loss, So, I'm confused, I'm lost, I'm less certain than I ever was in my life, about what's good for us, what's good for this city. Let me... Yeah, Rafique, take over. And in between, if you have any questions, just shoot, because some of you might be long-time residents, some of you are new people in the city, some hate it, some love it. So let's just have a free-for-all.
The rise and fall of Bombay is the mills. The mills came in the 19th century, and with that came khanavalis and chai shops and the chawls, and the Bombay was changing, and the chimneys. There were around about 84 to 85 chimneys were there. Now the chimneys are replaced by the towers. And with that, those days, the restaurants came, the Irani restaurants. By 1920, there were 460 restaurants. Today, there are hardly 10% of that. And those are also beer bar. They are no more a restaurant like they used to be. They were the earlier time baristas, where you went and read papers, you listened to radio, if there is a contribution to music, Indian music, it's a contribution from the Irani restaurant because the radio was always on. And you listen to the commentary, everything was the Irani restaurant which served you a bun cake and so many other things. And if you had drank the chai in the Irani restaurant, you could never become a chai taster because that was something special. Like people go for coffee in South India, the chai is from the Irani shop.
But Rafique, you must share with them some of the most exciting times in the red light district of Bombay.
Yes?
The red light district of Bombay. I think it's time to confess. We used to go to the same joints, in short. Tell them about the cinema halls and the restaurants. And
the red light area has around about, I can't use the word red light because the red light the word has come from the British Army uniform. It was a red. And wherever they gone, they had a red light area for the army people, cantonment. The first globalization took place in the red light area. Because if you go to the history from the 1900 to now, you will find up to 1947, you have all the sex workers from different nations, from France, Russia, so many other places, and British and so many other places. Because the war and the revolution which took place in the early part of the 19th century and later on, 20th century. So all those sort of a red light area, the sex workers were there. In that area, there are 19 theaters. And out of that, now I think hardly 8 or 9 remaining. In the 19 theaters, the oldest theater is called Gulshan, which was Bombay Theatre. If you go there, the tickets were 5 annas. They're male-oriented theaters, where very rarely you see female going there. So if you go there, the tickets were 5 annas those days. And if you paid 8 annas, you got two shows to see. You could see one show finish, and that same film, you could show half of it. Or if you are late, you can see the last half of it and the full show. And it used to be crowded. Some of the people used to make, the posters were made handmade. Even Hussein made a lot of the posters there. And they all are made on a graveyard. So watching cinema is a ghostly effort. And there you have you sitting on the graveyard and watching films.
Actually, I think New Shireen it still exists. The road is called Falkland Road, and it starts from near Nagpada, which is close to Bombay Central, and ends the other end of Grant Road. And as Rafique said, there were 18 theatres, and they were all built on, it was a graveyard at one time. So like New Roshan, they're still in the basement.
Alfred.
New Roshan too. And there's a graveyard, and they have a little dargah around it. And when you go there, you can actually hear a fight scene. You can hear the villain, threatening the hero of the film, or somebody romancing somebody. It's really unbelievable. So almost every theatre has a grave underneath it. And so it starts from near Bombay Central, Alexandra Cinema, which is also closed down now, and which was well known for subtitling English films. And then they would also join up some little bits of pornographic films and run them there. I used to pass by on my way to school, because I went to school in Baikala. So I was always very keen to know about that theatre and go into that street, but I was not allowed to go there. And the first opportunity I got, I went there. Rafique grew up a little bit beyond that, and he grew up deeper into Baikala near Sanders Bridge, am I right? And he went to school close by there. I grew up at Bombay Central. So we were like on both sides on opposite sides of the red light district. Of course, the red light is also famous for good eating places that came up over the years, including there's one in a lane which is famous for mujra. It's called Mujra Gali. I have never seen a shop sell more seek kebabs per evening than that place, just outside this Mujra Gali. And it still exists. And they've got big ice cubes on which they chop hundreds of kilos of onions and keep them. And through the night, they're selling parathas and seek kebab as people are going in and out of the Mujra. That's another place that I love. But Rafique, over to you.
Shukla Street, if you walk in Shukla Street some 10 or 20 years back, the first Chinese restaurant was started there. And the sex workers have a number that lanterns. They were numbered lanterns, and they were all Chinese there. And it was almost like Calcutta. Calcutta is more bigger than this Bombay. So this is the area where Manto wrote its best of his stories. If you have read Manto, this is the 100th year birthday of Manto. If you have read Manto, you'll find Manto talking of Arab Gully, talking of Forest Road, and all these prostitutes and tawaif are staying there. And he said that the easiest way to know about something, a place, you go to the urinal. And in the urinal, there'll be a graffiti, which will tell you what the place is like and what is happening in that place. So if you read this, you'll find that world, which is, Grand Road. But Manto didn't describe Bombay. He used only 2 paragraphs to describe Forest Road, otherwise he has not described. He uses name. He has fantastic characters and a lovely story, but he doesn't describe Bombay.
So, I mean, there is the march of time, and who are we to, we're powerless to influence it in any way. I mean, let's make no mistake about that. But what is it that we should hold on to? What is it that we, is always a question. And what is it that we can be attached to? Like, as Rafique says, the chimneys of the textile mills have gone, and they're replaced by towers. The chimneys had a resonance for the people of this city, certainly for the people who lived in those areas.
Oriental, A1, which are there and not there, you get the best of keema. You get best of samosas, which are pattawala samosas, which are no more available now. The pattawala samosas are taken over by Punjabi samosa. You have the faludas and all this. You know, this place, it looks very odd to go. I don't think anybody works and walks over there. But if you look at the place, it has a combination of so many things. Sex workers, posters, dentists, you name it, food. The best place is the Delhi Darbar, which is there. And you have so many varieties, but people get scared to go there and walk.
Rafique, what do you think? Is this an increasingly better city or a completely screwed up city?
I think we are in the hall of memories. We have so many memories, and that memories, as simple as that. If you have seen any old cinema, to tell you you are in Bombay was shown VT Station or University Tower or any other place which Marine Drive. Now you don't have any place to show you are in Bombay. They show you slum or they show you Lokanwala, which has no representation. When you talk about Bombay, you are talking of south of Bombay. You're talking of now, which is a geriatric Bombay. Rather, old people stay there, and the life is this side on the northern part of Bombay. So Bombay has changed very much, and it is changing very fast. So I would like everybody of you take a walk, have a look, like as if you're going to remember this, take a walk, have a look wherever you are staying, have a look at it, photograph, do anything, keep the memory on, because the memory is changing very fast. Today the building is there, tomorrow it will be not there.
You guys have any questions? Anybody wants to? Yeah, please shoot. Address them to Rafique Bagdadi. Okay. Yeah, what's it?
My question is addressed to both of you. Since we are discussing about food and South Bombay, and especially you have described about the Irani cafes which used to exist and some of them still exist. I'm a Maharashtrian, and one of my favorite authors, Jayant Dalvi, in his books, he has described that the best fish in Bombay used to be available in the small khanavars which were owned by Bhandaris. Now, I would like to know whether you have visited those places,
yes.
And if they still exist, can you give me some of the addresses? I'd like to go there.
See, it took a lot of years for Bombay to have a fish place. If you go to Goa, there are a lot of fish places. But in Bombay, there were very few. The Khanauli was the only place because most of the people who came were from Konkan. So they loved their fish. Without fish, they couldn't eat anything else, bath, fish, and that. But yesterday, we went to a place called Samarth, which is in Girgaon, opposite Gaiwadi. One of the best, because Anand Ashram is closed down.
Anand Ashram
closed down. You have other places which are not Kalavari, they are not Konkani. They are from UP and they are serving you fish. But their masala is different from the Malwani and Gomantak masala. That the fish depends on the masala and how the ingredient is good. Because the masala was made at home.
I think eating out was not so much of a Maharashtrian tradition as eating out was for others who were mostly migrants. So many restaurants happened because they were catering to migrants, like Mahesh Lunch Home, say, of Flora Fountain. That was like a place where migrant workers would eat. I remember the first time eating there, they had benches, it was non-air conditioned. And Anant Ashram in Girgam also was similar. And it's called a club, in fact, if I'm not mistaken. It had some sort of a little registration, dodgy registration, never as a restaurant. And they served food to their own community, and slowly others began eating. And the few Maharashtrian restaurants that were there could not cope up with the arrival of the Udipis, which were extremely enterprising and hardworking guys and served food very reasonably and fast and all that sort of stuff. So they fell to that. But then in Girgam, you'll still find some. Are you a Bombay person, a city person, deep in the city, or Pune? Okay. But it's there, Bombay. I mean, in Girgam and all those areas, you'll still find them in Dadar, Shivaji Park. They're there. There are these Sri Krishna Vada Pav, and there is that Temkars in Girgam, and they're still there. Like there are places where you'll get Sabudana Vada during the Shravan, and that kind of places. So they're there, but very few, and I'm sure in Pune there are more, but not that many.
The partition changed the whole eating habits. Before the partition, I think there was a sort of a party where there were best of restaurant in Kolaba and so many other places. But the people who went were Europeans, Anglo-Indians, and the Parsis, and very rich people. But after the partition, a lot of people came from Pakistan and so many other places. So the Punjabis, they had a habit of going eating outside. So they changed that. The first Chinese restaurant came within that period. The first Chinese restaurant was in Grand Road, in that Shukla district, but the other, like 19 came. So a lot of people started going. And at that time, there was an idea of Chinese food, which was broken rather by the Kapoor families.
Why do we always end up talking food? Huh? Why do we always end up talking food? Is there anything else to talk about? Close to lunchtime, and you're going to have doklas. Okay. Sorry.
I'd been to a heritage march with you. And that time I couldn't, Mr. Rafique, I had been, Alliance Process, the Bombay had organized a heritage march, a Grant Road. So I wanted to ask, when I saw the Bombay Sangeet Kala Nritya Mandir near the school, in front of the school, there were like sex workers staying, but the hoarding was, it was a very old hoarding. And it had written Bombay Kala Sangeet Nritya. So how did that shift happen? Were they sex workers from before, or were they what was it?
Can I? Yeah, I think the word prostitute, tawaif, Naj girl, actually they represent very different people. If you read the translation of Manto, the translator used the word prostitute because even he mixed up with the tawaif. So what you are talking about, that area where the musical, the Sangeet Mandal, and those were the Naj girls, which were tawaif. They were not what you call prostitute, but they might have become prostitute because the world itself had changed. So there is no money, so they might have been doing. But they were singers. Even the very famous singer called Mubarak Begum, she used to sing there. So that's a very different atmosphere there. It is not like, if you go to Bachuki Wadi also, the atmosphere is quite different from the prostitute atmosphere. So the use of word, because English translation, the tawaif doesn't come exactly what. A Naj girl is far away now, you don't understand what is a Naj girl. And the beginning of this, like the harams, when the kings went away, the harams were converted into Naj girls. They became the Naj girls. And they were the most cultural people because if you wanted to spend your evening with someone who could talk to you in poetry, sing, dance, and talk very chaste Urdu. so you went there. That sort of a quality was there. But with money, after the world war, a lot of money came in. People became rich. So any newer rich would go and do all those sort of vulgar things.
We'll take one more question and then, yeah, then we'll wrap up. Okay, thank you. Somebody else wanted? Anybody else?
With your kind permission, I would like to share my memories which are associated with the Shuklaji Street. 10 years ago, I used to work for Rado watches, Swiss watches. Yeah. And that time, the company has not set up an India office. So we were monitoring the market. And if you go to Shuklaji Street, there are 10 or 15 shops come offices, and they are all owned by all Marwadi community, and they are all Jains. So they used to buy, illegally import watches in thousands, and people from all over India, basically traders, used to come and buy. So I used to go there and chat with them, and I became friends with them. Later on, I realized how do they survive only on buying and selling of the watches. And somebody told me, I don't know whether it is fact or not, that these guys, they lend money to all these madams who are setting up the quotas, and they buy girls out of that money. I don't know how far it is true, but it was shocking to me.
You said your association is 10 years old with Shuklaji Street. Mine is at least 30 years old. So, they used to sell smuggled goods on that street before because, all these things were not officially available. So, Shuklaji Street was where you got these synthetic trouser materials and watches and all that. And you're absolutely right. A lot of them, in fact, all of them have some connection in terms of money lending with the industry there. Yes, that's a fact. Okay, if there are no other questions, thanks a lot, everybody, for being here. And if you ever get a chance, see the film, Do Rafique. I think if you hunt for it on YouTube, there must be somewhere.
Yeah, YouTube.
I'm pretty sure it's there somewhere. If it's not there, we'll pirate our own film and put it up for you guys. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Thank you so much. We'll have a 2-3 minute break before the next performance, which is...
Sorry.
Which is a performance of poetry, so do come back. Get some quick food and stuff, and make sure you come back.